Good evening. Welcome to Engagement Room session 12 of 24. We are halfway done with the first season of the Engagement Room as it is. Who knows what it's going to turn into? And tonight, I am so happy that we have our speaker who's the program quality director of District 8. She is also a budget analyst with Cigna Healthcare, correct, Jackie?
Business analyst.
Business analyst. And Jackie brings a lot of experience in business and speaking, and she's been a Toastmaster about the same time as I am, which is 11, 12 years. But she's not talking about Toastmaster stuff tonight. She is actually talking about how she put her husband Jim through the ringer to
Actually,
find out
Bill.
if he was the one or not. Right? Yeah. But we're going to find out tonight about a question she asked, like, are you my perfect partner? And so before we get started here, Jackie, I'm going to go ahead and pin you now, and we're going to get started. And so let's welcome our speaker, Jackie Kam-Blackard, about are you my perfect partner?
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for this opportunity to share my story. It's interesting. Everybody has the how I met my husband, how I met my wife story. And when I think about it, for me, it reminds me of the children's novel, the Dr. Seuss book, Are You My Mother? I feel that my journey to finding my perfect partner mirrors, parallels, aligns with Are You My Mother? And for those that are unfamiliar with that book, a baby bird falls out of his nest and continually looks for his mother and asks all the things and objects and animals that he meets and asks, Are you my mother? And so that is the reason, that's how I came about getting the Are You My Perfect Partner? My name is Jackie Kam-Blackard, and I am thrilled to be with you today. It's interesting, when I first was in kindergarten, my mom picked me up, and I told my mom, this little boy over here is the one I'm going to marry. So I started out really early looking for my perfect partner. As I was growing up, I tried to make myself more uh, open, more interesting to people. So I thought, if I was taller, if I was skinnier, if I was dressed a certain way, if I looked a certain way, people would look at me, and I would be a partner, someone that would actually choose me. And what I found was none of those things really matter, because when I was in high school, I didn't belong to any of the cliques. I didn't belong to the popular, the jocks, the cheerleaders, none of those folks. But I did have lunch with a group of people that were also not part of any cliques. And so what I learned was I'm okay the way I am. And that helped me become more confident in looking for that partner, knowing that I am who I am. Fast forward to college. I'm in college and I'm still looking, but I'm not finding anybody. Then I find a potential boyfriend and I follow him to San Francisco after I graduate. But I realized that he was not my perfect partner when his mother disapproved of any potential children we had. So I was talking to God, and I told God that I really believe that you are going to find my perfect partner. You were the one who's going to pick and decide for me how my life was going to proceed. Except You might have to hit me with a 2x4 because I'm a little dense. I see these guys and I'm thinking, oh, they'd be great. Not so much. And so I kept telling God, I put it in your hands and you pick my perfect partner, but you might have to get my attention with a 2x4. So I said, okay, I also need to take my active part in this. And this is the 1980s. This is San Francisco. And so I looked in the usual places. I looked at work. Not enough guys my age at my workplace. I looked at church. Great people, wonderful friends, but it's just not vibing there. Uh, Bars, I don't drink. That's not going to work. Dance places, loved going dancing, but boo, I hate looking and feeling like I'm part of the meat market. That just like turned me off. So I wrote an ad and put it in the paper. And boy, did I get a lot of responses. What I learned from those people are, well, I met someone who really couldn't pass a mirror without looking at themselves. And I thought, nope, not you. How about the individual who we were in an Asian restaurant and he went to pay for dinner using a card from a store, not like a Visa or MasterCard, but like a JCPenney card or Sears card or something like that, and act all surprised when it was declined. Next. Or how about the individual that asked if it was okay if he smoked marijuana instead of cigarettes when I indicated no smokers? Okay. But I did find somebody, and through that individual, I learned what I liked, what I didn't like, all of those things that helped me continue to grow as a person. But I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting kind of old here. When do you think this might be happening, God? Anytime soon. But was not to be until February 1992. At that point in time, I went with my friends to Yosemite National Park. So from San Francisco to Yosemite, it's a good 3-4 hours. And each year we would rent a house. We would go up for the weekend and just chill from the holidays and be with each other and just enjoy the snow, because it doesn't snow in San Francisco, but it does in Yosemite. So that year we went up and I was particularly stressed, so I decided to go out for a drive. And I drove to the entrance of the park, which, and then I didn't tell them where I was going. So, note to self, tell people where you're going if you're going by yourself. The main entrance was closed, so I continued driving down to Wawona. And lo and behold, it's cold, there's a lot of snow, and there's 6 cars in the parking lot. So I think this is God's 2x4. Since there's so few people, your choices are pretty small, and you should be able to find the person that I've chosen for you, which I did. And we decided to go walking on a trail. And normally I'm not a very talkative person. I'm very reserved, and it was interesting because I felt really comfortable with Bill and I felt safe. And so we walked and talked for 2.5 hours. Finally, when we're done, I have to go back. It's time for dinner. And we exchanged pictures. So he had a camera because he was a professional photographer. I took a picture of him, he took a picture of me, and he said he would send me a picture. So we exchanged our addresses and phone number and left. I wrote him a couple months later. So I wrote him a letter. He wrote me a letter. I wrote him a letter. And I waited. And I waited. And I waited. So in 1993, I'm going through my papers. I see his address and phone number. And I think, it's been a year. No contact. Nothing is going to happen. So I throw it away. Christmas Eve, 1994. So I met him in February 92, and it's now December of 94. And I get this phone call from FedEx. Is this Jackie Camp? Yes. Do you live at 1275 17th Avenue? Yes. I have a delivery for you. Okay. So he rings me up, delivers the package. I'm looking at the invoice. And what do I see? The address is from St. Louis, Missouri. And I'm thinking, I only know one person in St. Louis. And that was 2 years ago. And so it's like, okay. And the name is the same. So I open the package. And what do I see? This is the picture that he sent me, that he promised 2 years before. And I'm expecting a little picture, and I get this big framed picture. So luckily, the phone number was on the invoice. So I called him up. His mother answers the phone. And I said, "Hi, is Bill there? This is Jackie." And his mother says, "Jackie, I've heard all about you." And I'm thinking, I talked with this man for 2.5 hours 2 years ago. What did you tell your mother? He wasn't home. He called me back. We talked for a little bit. And then he says, "Oh, I'll be in San Francisco next year." So we're looking at 1995. And I said, "Okay, well, let's do dinner together." He says, "That sounds great." So we set it up. And in the meantime, after a little bit, he calls back and he says, "Would it be okay if I invited another couple?" And I'm thinking, cozy dinner for two. Justin turned into a friend dinner for four. I don't know him very well. I don't know these other people very well, but this is my only opportunity. So I went ahead and agreed. We go in. He meets me in San Francisco. I meet him for dinner. And I'm looking over at him and he's looking over at me. We're doing this surreptitiously so that you don't know that I'm looking at you. And I keep feeling these little zings. So I'm like, okay, there could be something here. And normally, if it's not obvious to me, I will move on. But there was something that said, give it a chance. Give it a chance. Okay. Make sure that there's no I coulda, woulda, shouldas. No regrets. So, like, let's explore this. He seems like a nice guy, a little slow, but he seems like a nice guy. So at the end, we say goodnight, and then I get a call and he says, "Hey, if you're ever in the Midwest, let me know." So I live in San Francisco. He lives in St. Louis. I had no plans to go to St. Louis. I just finished a 5-year relationship with someone, and half of it was long distance. And so I'm thinking, do I want to have another long distance relationship? Would not be my first choice. But for the right person, okay, we could do that. So a couple months later, I find out that my aunt has cancer. So she lives in Chicago. So I'm going to give her a call. And I said, okay, um, hey, Bill, I'm going to be out in Chicago. And, maybe we could have dinner together or something. So look, okay, okay. So he calls later and he says, hey, would you like to go to a Cardinals game? And I'm thinking, what's a Cardinal? No clue what a Cardinal is. I live in San Francisco. I live in California. No clue. Have never been to a game before. And so rather than appear like the uninformed person that you might expect a woman to be, I read the San Francisco Chronicle every day. I was reading the sports section. I had to figure out the mechanics of baseball. I had to figure out who all the players were. And I had to understand how the game worked so that I wouldn't sit at this game going, I don't know. Wanted to have a reasonable time, and it helps if you understand the game. So the day arrives, I fly to Chicago. He drives up from St. Louis. I'm staying with my aunt, and he comes to pick me up. And my aunt is saying hi to him and all the little pleasantries and talking to him. And she grabs a little Instamatic camera and takes a picture of him as surreptitiously as she could, so that in case I don't come home, they'll have a picture of who to look for. So I'm thinking I am going to be in a car with this individual that I have spent a total of maybe 5 hours with over the last 3 years. What are we going to talk about? He can't go anywhere. I can't go anywhere. Silence for 5 hours, not a really good option. So I came up with the list. And in this list, I wanted to vet out who he was, what kind of person, what kind of ideas and attitudes and all of those things to see if I wanted to have a relationship with this person, because this is another long distance relationship. Been there, done that, got the souvenirs. So we get into his Mustang, and we're driving through, and I start grilling him. I mean, the poor guy should have run for the hills. He should have hit the eject button and gotten me out of there, because on a second date, if somebody starts asking you these questions, you would run and run fast. I asked questions like, do you believe in God? What religion are you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you believe in abortion? If your 11-year-old girl came home pregnant, what would you do? If your 14-year-old son came home stoned, what would you do? Under what circumstance would you pull the plug? I asked really hard questions because I wanted to get to the core of who this individual was. It was so, while the outside looks is wonderful, but I knew that that was going to change. Your physical abilities is wonderful, but that could change in an instant. So I wanted to know, is this person safe? Is he dependable? Are we going to clash? Can he talk? Or am I going to have to pull information out from under him? So all of those things we talked about throughout that 5-hour drive. And good on him. He answered every single question. He wasn't trying to hide anything. He wasn't trying to dodge the question. So all of those things made a really good impression on me. So it was really strange because our answers were aligned. There wasn't anything, all of his answers pretty much mirrored mine. So we go to the game and we look at all of these different things. And then the last question that I ask him is, so how do you feel about housework? And his answer was, well, we'd work together, do the housework, and then we can do something together, or we can go our separate ways. Ding, 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 ding. That was the answer that sealed the deal. If he had asked me, would I marry him then? I would have said yes. Well, we had, oh goodness, 6 more dates after that. One of them was the Honolulu Marathon, and he walked the last half of the marathon with me. He helped me hobble across the finish line because there were 3 people after me before they closed the marathon down. It was a tough run. And when I think about it, all of the things about Bill was how he acted. Not only did he say the right things, but he acted the way someone that you would trust. So when I think about it, his actions, his attitude, and his acceptance. When I think C, for his communication and his character, for T, for his trust, and S, for his support. So those things helped me determine that he was my perfect partner. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you so much. Excellent. Now we know what Bill had to go through. And you definitely did that.
I did.
You definitely put him through the ringer. Okay, I'm going to change up my view here a little bit. Oh, here's Cynthia coming in. We're going to switch up multi-speaker here. That way we've got that. So now we're getting into the question and answers discussion with our audience. And I just want to start this off as saying you really, really came up with something that most of us guys would be like, if I had seen that coming, oh hell no. Because there's no balance. There's nothing there that would make it like something that wouldn't be a setup, because there's so many people that run into those challenges. So I mean, kudos to you guys for doing it. But like you said, it's very interesting that you said, like, it's not just a balance outside, that like that the end of the marathon, because I used to run marathons too. It's like, what's inside. The inside gets you there, and I've been at the tail end of those races too. I know exactly what you're talking about there. No,
So,
definitely.
so I may not have won the race, but I did finish the race.
That's all it counts. Yeah,
and I finished my perfect partner race as well. Not at the beginning.
Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. That's lovely. All right. So who's our first person with a question? Sandra, Linda, Cynthia, Karen?
This is Karen here. And first of all, thank you for sharing that wonderfully encouraging story. That was just so well spoken. So thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Sure, sure. My question for you is, I have two children that are in the early 30ish range. And what I'm finding is, I mean, they've been single enough, in their young adulthood. They just are, I think many of them in that age range are afraid to take the leap. So, do you have any words of encouragement or insight on that topic?
It happens when it happens, which really is a really sucky answer because we all want it to happen sooner than later. And sometimes what I've found is uh, timing has a lot to do with it. What you want out of a relationship, what you want out of a marriage, what you are willing to do, what you expect. Sometimes when it takes a while, that's the time to work on yourself. I find the most attractive individuals are the ones that feel good about themselves and the ones that are secure, that they don't need you to complete me, but I am perfectly fine. Here I am. If you like it, great, let's talk. If not, keep moving. So it is, and I find that those that are alone and not just jumping from relationship to relationship, but those that are alone really have that time to work on themselves and to feel confident in who they are. And it's okay to say, you know what? I don't need you. I don't need you to feel good about myself. I am fine the way I am. If we can go hand in hand down that same path, let's do it. But if you're going right and I'm going left, maybe we should rethink this. I don't know if that helps, Karen.
Oh, it absolutely does. And I think what you said about working on ourselves, and I think, as I see some of them moving towards relationship, they've been working on themselves, and now they're starting to say, I have to open my heart to say, yeah, committing to a long-term relationship is scary, but in the long run, it's worth it.
It's really hard to find somebody that you gel with. There's just so many opportunities, and sometimes it's way the heck out there in the what were you thinking? Other times it's right underneath your nose, and it helps you if you are open. And it's kind of like, don't leave that rock unturned. Because just when you think, life happens and changes.
That's solid. That's solid.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate the question.
All right. So who's got the next question?
I do.
Sandra? Yes, go please.
Uh, Listening to you, I got an image in my head of a deck of cards with these questions on. And I find in a long-term relationship, probably the highest priority I have is conversation. That's the glue. What kind of questions, other than the ones that you asked on that long trip in the car together, would you develop a deck of cards for married people?
For married people, is the purpose of the deck of cards to explore possibilities together, or is it to develop a road along, whether it's a financial or retirement, or is it more, I want to double check and make sure I got the right guy?
Well, I got the right guy, thankfully. And we have conversations, but occasionally we run dry of things to talk about. One thing we do enjoy talking about is what we remember from our childhood, growing up, and how it was different than today and things like that. But I think the importance of keeping a conversation with your spouse constantly going would be like new questions, expand what you know about each other.
I love the idea of expanding what you know about each other. I know that Bill and I took a Route 66 trip in September. And so that was 2.5 weeks of being in the car, just the two of us. And I had questions about things like, okay, so what do you want to work on next on the house? Or I'm thinking if I had this money, what would you do? If we won the lottery, where do you think we should do this? Or what plans do you have? What is it you want to accomplish? Keeping that open communication is absolutely key. I agree with you 1,000%, Sandra, because you may lose your looks, you may lose your health, you may lose your bodily abilities, but your mind hopefully remains intact. And being able to talk to someone, if you have nothing else, you have conversation and you find really great things, and you find things that are like, well, maybe not. But it's really important to keep talking. I mean, you can talk about your past, you talk about your memories, you talk about all those different things, that what is important to you, what's important to them, because certain things will change through time, but other things don't. It's really strange. I think Bill wasn't quite, I mean, we weren't separated at birth, but there are times when I finish his sentences. I know what he wants to eat. I know, we will say something and it's like, "Will you pick?" Okay. And or we'll have say, "Well, I'm feeling like this for dinner." And he goes, "Yeah, me too." I'm like, okay. It's different. And it does help uh, when there are certain things that are similar, but then also enjoy the differences. So I'll ask him about something with the car, which I know zero about, but he goes on. So Bill is one of those people that tells you how the watch works. And I'm happy to listen to him. I will let him know when I have reached maximum capacity on understanding his terms and his things. So that works. He knows that I ask a ton of questions. I'm very curious because I'll pull things out of the air like, "Hey, did you know that orangutans did blah, blah, blah?" And then I'll put like different things together and I'll think, that kind of reminds me of something else. And so we'll have a conversation about that. Um, it could be anything. It could be music. It could be current events. That's always a good one. um, Going to different places, bringing up memories, childhood things that you did, your favorite traditions, uh, people that you've met, all of those things. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Sandra. Okay, we have somebody out. We have a viewer out on Facebook right now. They haven't commented. Any question? I can't tell who you are. Thank you for following, but any question for Jackie? We'll give it a few seconds, see if they chime in. That's one of the hard things about doing this in two different places. There's like a 7 to 10-second delay, and we have to kind of wait and see. All right, we're going to go on. All right, so who's our next question? Linda or Cynthia?
Or Tim.
I'm the host. I got to defer to the audience.
Yeah, Cynthia cannot ask any questions because she came in late.
No, no,
So
no.
I did show up, but I'm late. But I appreciate being here. And it sounds like you were talking about relationship. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And all I can say is relationship. Let's see, friends. I think the most important thing about a relationship is your friends. And in those times when you're frustrated, is just to remember what it was that brought you together. Because usually that's the thing that's frustrating me. Because my husband, what I was attracted to was his patience. And of course, I'm not very patient. So you're almost like what do they call that? Diamond buried in.
Diamond in the rough, absolutely.
Yes, yes. And you're just constantly rubbing each other.
There you
Yes,
go. And,
yes,
diamonds are created through a lot of pressure,
yes.
a lot of force.
Boy, I
So I'm
think I'm
glad
going
to
to
be
have
here.
to have a
Thank you.
talk with Bob about this. I mean, you've always seemed to be very patient to me, Cynthia. I can't imagine we're going to have to get a story out of your husband.
You met me in 2010. I've been married since 1991. So we did a lot of grinding. Let's put it that way. A lot of grinding's been
Very
going
I
on.
get it. I get it. I get it.
I was very blessed with having someone who's very similar to me in certain ways. Uh, he likes music more than I do. He likes uh, just different activities, which is fine. He lets me do my thing. He supports me in, even though it's not convenient. It's like, well, are you going to be home, or what time, or just um but I never get the feeling that, you're supposed to be at home taking care of me, you know and he's been a very incredible blessing. I do thank God every day for him. So I know that God created this family. uh, he pulled one from St. Louis and he pulled the other one from China. So it's just hanging in there and just counting and keeping the blessings safe and progressing and being the best we can be.
Yes. Bravo.
Yeah, definitely. So Jackie, let me ask you this. When you said that when you came up with your list, which is a very well developed list, and you know, speaking from the guy side of things, as the only guy here right now, I know that had that been me, then I would have. I don't know if I would have really reacted that well. But at the same time, I appreciate a good conversation too. I didn't like to. I don't really care to argue, but to have a good dialogue is so important. So can you highlight some of the early things that you learned in your relationship with Bill? In those conversations, with not getting personal, but I mean, there's things that you learn about yourself and things you learn about your partner whenever you get into those deep discussions.
So one of the discussions was, um, I made a statement and I said, so if this is going to be a one parent family, then we're not having children. And he says, no, this is not going to be a one parent family. And he has kept up his side more than what is expected. He knows how to cook. He knows how to clean. He knows how to do laundry. He knows how to change the oil in the car. He knows electricity and he knows plumbing. He knows woodworking, all of those things. And he knows photography. And so with my daughter, he was there taking pictures. He's at her school. He's at all of her events. He takes off time from work to be at sports and uh, awards and anything that she's a part of, he's there. it was also interesting that I knew that I could trust him. So when I had a health issue, he was there. My sister came over and was concerned that Bill wasn't going to be able to take care of my daughter. And he was just like your stereotypical guy that couldn't figure out right from left. But she was amazed that he was fully functional, took care of him, took care of me. And through all of our time together, it reinforces that this is him. This is my perfect partner. But I broached the question in my list and listening to different things that he said and just knowing who the core of who he wasn't going to change, because you can change a lot of things. You can change your hair, you can change your face, you can whatever. But all the hard questions, if you're willing to spend 5 hours with a woman on the second date answering these crazy questions, you should be running. And I will say that it's funny, when we met in February of 92, he has a little calendar. I don't know if you can see this. But in this little calendar, when we met, he writes, "Is she the one?" So this is not a one-sided thing. Thank you for the question.
That's really nice. That's a lovely memory right there. That's powerful. It really, really is. Linda, do you have something for Jackie?
I have granddaughter at this time who has been going with a young man for about 3 years, and he just broke up with her.
How is she
I've
doing?
been
Ah,
thinking of what the experience that you have had, and I'm trying to think how I can take your information and help me to interact with my granddaughter.
How old is she?
She is 17.
17. Okay. So she has a long road ahead of her, and a lot will depend on what is she searching for. Is she searching for a date for the prom? Is she searching for a boyfriend because everybody else has one? Is she searching for her life partner? Usually at 17, she's not. It is important for a person to go through H&H, heaven and you know where, because that through that pain of breakup and of recovery, that's where you start to learn about things. Many things become a lot clearer, where I had dated someone for 5 years and I thought we were going to get married. And my best friend says, when they would have asked, "Is there any reason why this couple should not be married?" She said, "I would have stood up." She never told me that that's how she felt about this individual, but sometimes people won't say anything while you're in the relationship, but afterwards they will tell you, like, "No, he wasn't the one for you." Not what you want to hear. And as hard as it is, giving young people, old people, every people, giving them the skills to pick themselves up and try again is invaluable. Whether it's in business, in relationships, in work, in everything that we do, it is as hard as it is, as painful as it is, it's something that we need to develop because life is going to knock us down. Again, that's not what a 17-year-old wants to hear. But in raising my daughter, I let her make her mistakes. I let her live her life as long as it was not a life-altering decision. And so she knew what was expected, and I knew that she had people that she could fall back on. So your granddaughter should hopefully develop a circle of friends that will be with her, because while you are invaluable to support her and to help her through it, she's not going to she's probably not going to spill her guts and all those things unless she has a unique relationship with you. Because of the different generations, sometimes grandmas are like their best friend, and other times there's a little bit different, but your peers are definitely someone that you will fall to. Having good best friends is really important. Someone who sticks with you through thin and thick and is willing to hear you out, and also someone whose decision that you respect, saying, no, don't do it, or yes, go for it. Also at that age, and in every age, you're learning the skills. You're learning how to communicate. You're learning how to stand up for yourself. You're learning how to have your own opinions. You're learning how to deal with somebody else. All of those skills are being worked on and being improved, so that when it's your time, because obviously you're ready now, but you're not. But when it's that time to start that relationship as a life partner, as your perfect partner, as whatever it happens to be, then that's what you really want to focus on. Is it'll happen. It hasn't happened yet, but there is a lot of sucky things that you go through. You fall down, you hopefully get back up and keep on going in that same direction. Now, you might be a little wiser, you'll step over it next time, or you'll pivot to the right or pivot to the left. But it's that learning opportunity. And it's really hard when it comes to relationships, because you give your heart, you give your soul and everything, because you think the sun rises and sets on them. And it's a eye-opening experience when it doesn't, or when it's not returned. That one hurts a lot. Or when you're being used, or you're a person of convenience, or somebody wants something from you, whether it's prestige, whether it's contacts, whether it's money, whether it's whatever. Being able to spot the red flags, that skill, when you have your list of what you will not compromise on, and seeing red flags. So I had my set of red flags. If a person was an addict, next player. If a person was a smoker, that was something that I was not going to tolerate, next player. If a person was not truthful, I'm talking big whoppers. I'm not talking teeny lies like, oh, no, let's celebrate this for your birthday. Nothing like that. But being able to spot people that not somebody that you want to be with. It's better to find those sooner than later. Someone who makes you feel less of who you are, time for the next person. Person who wants to control you, next person. Person who doesn't appreciate you or feels that they have to be above you, that You can't earn more money than them. You can't have more friends than them. Next player, she should develop herself. She should develop skills to make sure that she's okay. One of the things that to me was important is I needed to be self-sufficient. I needed to have my own money. I needed to have my own fallback because many times it's death or divorce and women are left out in the cold. And so in order to protect me and to make sure that anything that happens that I can still remain standing.
Thank you. It's helping me to process what's happening with her and allow her to do it herself,
We all want to
figure it out
fit.
herself.
And it's okay if you give her little hints or questions or you know, but as you know, and when we figure it out ourselves, it's the lesson remains.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question.
Okay, Sandra, you have one?
Well, I just want to take a step back a little bit because I like this idea of the conversations for not only picking a partner, but getting to know people in general, getting to know them and not judge them by how tall they are, thin, you know, how well they dance on the disco floor. But especially right now, I think one of the things that I need to do more of is step back and get to know the person from the inside out before I make a judgment about them.
Hardest thing to do.
Uh, I've been working on it, and the more you do, the easier it gets.
Yes.
And one of the things I found is people like to be heard.
Yes.
People like to be listened to, and getting those social skills improved beyond the superficial questions like, how was your day? How's the weather? How much snow do you have? Or tornadoes or whatever. Get into what really matters in life in a friendly way.
Yes. There's a famous speaker who says, when you ask somebody a question, instead of saying, oh, so what do you do? They say, so what are you working on that you're excited about? You will have that instant rapport because you'll find out what motivates them and what's making them shine. And they're happy to talk about it for a very long time.
Yeah, Vanessa Van Edwards. She's wonderful to listen to, not only for speaking tips, but for becoming social friends or deeper.
Yeah, she is I've been following her for a while. You're exactly right. Okay, so we have two followers or two people in the Facebook side. Pat, who is part of Mount Vernon Toastmasters. Pat, do you have do you have a question for Jackie or Jamie? Okay. Got to deal with that delay. Okay. It's one of the things about the challenges of going. Okay. No, nothing from them. All right, then. Well, now we're getting into the end of the session. And Jackie, just like you were saying, what's your big project going on now, other than being the program quality director for District 8?
One thing that I'm excited about after doing the Route 66 trip, the next trip that I'd love to take is Route 89. And Route 89 goes from the top of Montana all the way down to Phoenix, Arizona. And in there are, I believe, 10 national parks. And just some of the most spectacular pictures I've seen, and I am blown away. Just having lived in California and Missouri for a while, I visited other states, but really never had the time and the opportunity to just enjoy nature. I know that I work in an office, and so I can see what's out the window. Otherwise, I work from the basement. I can see what's out the window, and just it really puts things in perspective.
Mhm.
Just how amazing the Earth creation is, and how insignificant we are, because uh, we went to the petrified forest, and they were saying like, oh yeah, these are about 2 million years old. I'm like, yeah, we like long gone.
That's
So
going to be a great trip.
yep, I'm working on planning that.
That's cool. That's very, very cool. We'll have to have lots of photographs, and you'll have to share those with everyone. Not
Uh,
keep it to yourself.
in my Route 66, I do scrapbooking.
Mhm.
I have a, a book and a half just on Arizona, and that was about 6 days. And so I have New Mexico, Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, and Missouri to still put the pictures in, since we'd be driving along and there would be a mural on the side of a
Mhm.
wall. And so I'd pull up, stop, like, Bill, go take a picture.
He was like, oh, here it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he would jump out of the car, take the picture. I mean, I could do another whole podcast on Route 66. Just
Okay.
fabulous.
Okay. I'm gonna hold you
Fabulous.
to it.
Oh.
Season 2. I'm gonna hold you to that.
That's going to be a slideshow, let me tell you.
That's okay. That's fine. No, this is all about everyone, getting the individual opportunity to shine. So good. No, that sounds wonderful, and I'm not going to forget that. All right, so it is now 8:05. We gone a little longer, but you know what? We had good things going on here, so I don't mind going a little bit late. And so let's give our speaker another round of applause. Thank you, Jackie, for everything. I
Thank you.
appreciate you doing that. And I tell you what, Linda bringing her granddaughters, that's tough, and you handled that so well. And so you better watch it, because especially with this being on YouTube and on Spotify, some people might be looking out for you, and you might turn into a podcaster just on relationship advice, like Dr. Laura or some of these other people on AM radio shows. You better look out.
Well, I
The
have
signal
no
thing may be
degrees.
done. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate all the support
Of
and
course.
encouragement. So this is first time, and I appreciate everything that you've done. So thank you for the opportunity.
Of course, and
Thank you
hopefully
for
not the
all.
last. All right, so I'm going to do a quick share of my screen. Here is who's going to be our next here. All right then. Well,
Wrong screen.
oh well. All right. Well, again, we are not getting any help from Zoom, and it is not helping out. TC Mueller, she is running for Congress. She is, I believe she may have been a Toastmaster one time. She's visited the Southern Illinois Club several times. She's going to be speaking on March the 4th and talking about her campaign and anything else she may be interested in. And at this time, there is only one spot left for the rest of the year, because this is the halfway mark. We are now at 50% of the DTM project, and we are, we're clocking on. So the end of July right now is the session 2 end of July is the only thing left. We are fully booked all the way out unless there's some cancellations. So again, thank you guys for everything. I'm going to remove the pin, and let's see here if it will actually work. And here we go. Thank you guys so much for joining me again. I appreciate all your help and participation in this project, and your time goes back to you. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.